What began as an ordinary stretch of seasonal rainfall in southern China eventually unfolded into one of the region's most disruptive weather episodes in recent years. Over the course of several days, powerful downpours swept through the provinces of Guangdong and Guangxi, triggering sudden floods, landslides, and significant damage across many communities. By the time the skies cleared, at least 5 people had lost their lives, and several others remained unaccounted for, underscoring the speed and force with which the disaster struck. The event was marked by unusually intense and persistent rainfall. Vast areas in the south received volumes of water far beyond typical seasonal expectations. The storm system not only overwhelmed rivers and drainage networks, but also destabilized slopes in mountainous regions, where saturated soil posed a constant risk of collapse. Villages situated near hillsides were particularly vulnerable, and rescue crews described scenes where entire sections of terrain shifted with little warning. During the unfolding crisis, China's National Meteorological Center issued a series of weather alerts, highlighting the wide geographic footprint of the severe conditions. The warnings covered parts of Jiangxi, Zhejiang, Fujian, Guangxi, Guangdong, and even regions within Xinjiang, reflecting how far-reaching the unstable weather pattern had become. Among these alerts was the yellow warning, a classification that signaled an elevated likelihood of flash floods and geological hazards. In China's 4-tier system, where red represents the highest level of danger, yellow still indicates a serious need for preparation and caution, especially in areas with steep landscapes and dense populations.
继续发布暴雨蓝色预警，预计未来24小時，玉林、贵港、來賓、梧州、賀州、南寧
全部浸咧，就浸到入邊又蒸咧，財政所已經浸到屋裏咧。
Local authorities, disaster response teams, and volunteers mobilized rapidly. In Guangdong, emergency workers navigated flooded streets to reach stranded residents, often wading through fast-moving water to pull people to safety. In Guangxi, teams used drones and infrared equipment to locate villagers who had become isolated after landslides severed roads. Many survivors recounted moments of sudden alarm, homes shaking as earth loosened on nearby cliffs, or the sound of rising water pounding against walls faster than anyone expected.
橋浸過嚟，浸到財政所嗰邊嚟，浸到財政所有嚟，水浸財神爺。
One resident from a rural Guangxi township described seeing a normally calm stream transform into a churning force in a matter of minutes. Another told rescue teams how a hillside gave way behind their home, burying farming tools and blocking the only path to the village center. Such accounts illustrated not only the physical destruction, but also the emotional weight borne by families who watch their surroundings change with frightening speed. Officials later noted that the extreme rainfall was part of a broader pattern observed across the country. Meteorological data showed that 2024 had been China's hottest year since records began more than 60 years earlier, following another record-setting year just before it. Scientists explained that rising temperatures had intensified the water cycle, creating an environment where storms developed more rapidly and released greater amounts of moisture. For regions already prone to seasonal rains, this shift meant a higher likelihood of sudden, powerful weather events that could challenge even well-established flood control systems.
漂浸過嚟，浸到財政所嗰邊嚟，浸到財政所有嚟，水浸財神爺，全部浸嚟，就浸到入邊又蒸嚟，財。
The storms also carried broader implications for China's infrastructure and economy. As rainfall grew more erratic, communities faced recurring disruptions to transportation, agriculture, and power supplies. During the episode in Guangdong and Guangxi, several towns experienced temporary outages as energy systems strained under increased demand. Road closures hindered relief operations, while flooded farmland raised concerns for local crop yields. Each impact contributed to a larger picture of how climate-related events could test the resilience of heavily populated and economically vital areas.
好大水啊！漂浸過嚟，浸到財政所嗰邊嚟，浸到財政所有嚟，水浸財神爺。
Rescue teams and officials emphasized that while early warnings played a crucial role in reducing casualties, the incident underscored the need for long-term adaptation. Engineers pointed to the value of stronger drainage systems, better slope reinforcement, and expanded monitoring networks in mountainous terrain. Community leaders spoke of the importance of public awareness, ensuring that residents in vulnerable areas understood evacuation routes and knew how to respond quickly when alerts were issued. Despite the tragedy and loss, the response also highlighted the strength of human solidarity. Volunteers from neighboring regions traveled to assist with cleanup efforts. Local organizations arranged temporary shelters, provided food and dry clothing, and supported families who had been displaced by the floods. Stories emerged of individuals who carried elderly neighbors to safety and of emergency workers who worked around the clock, pausing only briefly before heading back into the field. These moments of courage and connection became an essential part of the narrative, reminding viewers that even in disasters shaped by global forces, human compassion remains steadfast.
下那么大的雨，发誓是你发的，人也是。
又發大洪水，就天意不可畏。
As reflections on the event continued, scholars and climate experts pointed to a growing body of evidence linking rising temperatures with more frequent and severe storms across East Asia. They suggested that events like the flooding in southern China offered a glimpse into a future where weather extremes could become more common. While the exact timing and locations of such events could never be predicted with certainty, the trend underscored the urgency of building resilience on both local and national levels.
嚟喎，嚟喎。繼續起啊嘅，你下對度啲水繼續冒起啦。
In the end, the floods in Guangdong and Guangxi served as more than a record of destruction. They became a reminder of the delicate balance between human communities and the natural environment, and how quickly that balance can shift when climate patterns change. The disaster left behind grief and difficult questions, but it also sparked conversations about preparedness, adaptation, and the shared responsibility to protect vulnerable populations. As with many extreme weather events around the world, this episode stood as a testament to both the power of nature and the resilience of the people who faced it. And while the storms eventually passed, the lessons they carried continued to resonate. That understanding our changing climate is not only a scientific challenge, but a human one, shaping the way societies plan, respond, and ultimately care for one another in times of crisis.